So our next presenter is Brandy Howe, and she is the account manager for Radley Corporation. And Brandy, I'm just going to give you control of the presentation.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, you should be ready.
So, hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay, Mark?
Yes, you sound great.
Okay, thanks. So just wanted to give you a quick introduction of myself. I have worked at Radley Corporation for almost 20 years now, working in customer service all the way through projects and implementations and training, and now I'm an account manager for a lot of our installed base accounts as well as net new. So Radley Corporation has been around since 1974. We've been providing EDI manufacturing and warehouse solutions. We're a full solution provider, so we partner with key industrial leaders out there in the technology world for devices, RFID tags, printers, et cetera. We have over 600 customers in over 30 countries and pretty much every vertical industry out there. We are committed to new technology, so when RFID came out or when it became more popular in about 15 years ago, we immediately went out and got ourselves certified. And since then, we've just recently seen a surge again in this industry. So it's been very exciting for us as well as our customers to leap onto this technology and move forward with it. So what Radley does is we bring a solution to our customers. So we have a full solution platform that has the ability to integrate barcoding RFID technology with additional components like warehouse management, labor tracking, work in process tracking, and we tie all that together and bring it into the ERP systems that our customers have. So we have the full capability to do that integrated solution for you. So with our full hardware providers as well as our solutions, we bring our customers a full working solution. I'm just going to talk about a couple of basic scenarios that have been brought to us for solving. So one of our first ones is a customer that builds high-quality workplace furniture. They provide a lot of custom products for their customers, but what their issues were is that they have, a big, huge woodworking shop, and these pieces of wood were getting misplaced. So they would kit things together after they were cut, and then those kits would get moved to a different area, and somebody would be looking for them for way too long. So they had some loss of their, sorry, hang on one second, I gotta clear my throat. They had lost productivity with their employees. So they also had some particular pieces that were getting moved to the inaccurate operations. So we wanted to help them track where those pieces of inventory are, as well as make sure that their kits are being moved to the proper operations in the proper order. So with RFID, we're tracking each one of their individual pieces of wood, as well as the pallet, or kind of like a hand pallet mover that they are on. And then their employees also have RFID sensors in their badges so that we can track who's moving it, where it's moving, did it go through the proper sequence of events. If something is out of sequence, we throw an alert through stack lights. So when they move through an entryway and it's not in the right sequence, they get alerted. We also have alerts to give them a text message to supervisors so that they can take action right away. And then we also deliver inquiries so that they can see exactly where their inventory is in the work in process. So they know exactly every single detail it's been through, how long it took in each operation, as well as where their current inventory is. And then all this was designed with direct ERP integration. So you gave them the visibility to work in process, save them time from finding lost items, and accuracy of their operations. This next scenario is a customer that makes cleaning products using critical applications. So as you can imagine, if you're dealing with critical applications, the last thing you want is to ship somebody the wrong product. So they had a lot of QA issues where their quality team was spending a lot of time tracking down where they went wrong in packaging up product. So they had customer satisfaction was down because their customers were getting shipped inaccurate shipments. They had incorrect products that were in cases. So the case actually said it was a certain product and then it was a different product. And then of course, when that makes it to your customers, that does not make them very happy. And then we have some customers that also didn't allow mixing of lots, and that was happening as well as incorrect quantities getting packaged. So with RFID, we're tracking each part that goes into a box. We can verify that they match, first of all, and we can verify the correct quantity goes into each box at the time of packaging. And then once all the boxes have been loaded completely, we send them a notification so that they know that they can now tape the box shut. And then once that box is taped shut and it's been validated, they have readers that are placed around their pallets so that when a box gets placed on a pallet, there's another marriage that happens between that pallet and that case to verify that they belong together. And then this also has not only our user interface that interacts with the users, but there's also stack lights that provide that visual feedback to the employees so that they know that they're doing something correct. And along with that, we're doing direct ERP integration. So we're pulling down all the information that we need to verify against from the ERP system. We know that the parts are correct and that they're going to the right customer and that they're on the right order. So they have increased customer satisfaction. We're error-proofing their processes and making sure that their quality is being enforced. So one other thing that I didn't really get into a lot of detail about before, but when you're looking at tying together the information that's on an RFID tag to information that's in an ERP system, usually you want a placeholder for that. So we actually have what we call our IntelliLabel database that allows us to marry together all those details so we can track exactly which part is associated with which RFID tag. We can track any attributes that we want to track associated with that, like lot numbers, quantities, locations, who received that product to begin with, who that product is getting shipped to. So all those attributes get built into a traceability system. So when we talk about doing verification, doing alerts, providing reports and things like that to our customers, all that's coming from that IntelliLabel database, providing all of our customers that full traceability. The next customer overview I have is a global shipbuilder. They create a lot of the defense ships and commercial vessels. So one of their biggest issues is you can't imagine misplacing something that is so large, but that's what happens. I mean, to make a ship, sometimes the ship is in 3 huge pieces or 4 huge pieces across 4 or 5 different warehouses with all these items. So because they're such long-term projects, a big, huge, high-value item would come in that belongs to this particular ship, yet it would get misplaced because somebody would move it from building A to building C, and they had no record of that. They would just move it around because they needed that space for something else. So they also had a lot of even just smaller assets that they couldn't find for projects because they just got moved around a lot. So they needed visibility to that inventory. So what we're doing is putting an RFID tag on each one of their high dollar items, and then using portals on their entryways and exits of these big, huge buildings to track the in and out movement of those pieces. So we know where it was last located because we can sense in and out. And then they're doing periodic handheld readers to do cycle counting. And then in some of their inventory, like basic inventory areas, they're doing the handheld cycle counting there too, so that they can verify their accurate inventory for the higher dollar items. And again, we're doing direct ERP integration with these people so that we know exactly what part needs to be in what location, and we can verify directly against that ERP that we're presenting the right information and updating it real time. So these guys are getting their inventory location accuracy down and seeing an increase in their projects being completed on time. So we also have returnable container tracking, and this can be used in a lot of different ways. So when you guys were talking earlier about either the open loop with the supply chain across the board where you're shipping products out to other vendors and then they're shipping it out to their customers, this can be used to share the information and create those ASN details to actually combine that with EDI. And it also ensures that you might get your trackable container back. So when you have a whole supply chain of people using your containers and you want to ensure that they are getting returned to you, by tagging them and having each one of your partners on board, you're actually going to get out of the system more return on your investment because you're going to get your returnable containers back because you know exactly who had it last and when it was received there, when it might have left there, et cetera. So it helps out a lot with getting that analysis back so you know who's got what and where your inventory is located as far as returnable containers go. Now again, I talked about our partnerships that we have. So when we do any implementation with RFID, we pull in those resources from our hardware vendors so that we have the professional options available right on site to present to our customers. So we're not only presenting them with a software solution, we're providing them a full system integration. We're doing the consulting and the site survey for them, making sure that the readers, portals, tags, everything is going to be accurate in their environment, helping them through the whole implementation pilot life cycle, and then helping them at the end with the training and support. So that's just my quick overview of Radley Solutions and how we've been able to help some of our customers. If there's any questions, Mark, let me know.
Okay, Brandy, thanks very much. Folks, if you have a question, please type it into the Q&A tool on your WebEx control panel, and I will ask Brandy your question. So do you think RFID can solve all issues in the warehouse?
Well, that's kind of a tricky question, but it can in some aspects, but what people don't realize is it's not a magic thing that can just get turned on and magically make everything perfect. So there's always got to be some sort of integration. There's always going to be some sort of user interaction. You can't get rid of user interaction completely. You have to have some way to correct inaccuracies. So if a RFID tagged item moves from one place to another and it's inaccurate, how do you let those people know? So there's got to be some way of providing that feedback. So we do that with our customers through our user interface that goes on any mobile type of device, as well as stack lights. We can also use audible alerts, things like that. And a lot of times people will find that it's easy to implement RFID in their most painful areas where they see a lot of issues with barcoding because people get lazy and they just don't scan things. So with RFID, you can kind of correct some of those human errors, but you still have to have a little bit of human engagement there.
Right, okay. Do you have any RFID solutions developed for the oil and gas industry?
We have a lot of oil and gas customers that are manufacturers of components in the oil and gas industry. So it's definitely something that that's kind of a question that I'm not sure how to answer because I don't know where they are at, if they're out in the field or if they're actually in a warehousing or a manufacturing facility. But yes, we can definitely help out that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Does Radley's RFID solution integrate back into SAP?
Yes, there's a lot of different SAP integration methodologies, so we will work with you to determine what your best option is. And so far, I think we've done IDOC integration, but if there's some other integration method that you prefer, we would definitely explore that with you.
Okay. Are you seeing a trend towards cloud computing in real-world implementations?
Definitely cloud computing is on trend. Even a lot of our ERP partners are going with the cloud model. That doesn't mean that everybody out there is on board with that themselves, but it's definitely a way that people are trending. However, with a lot of the security that's involved in a lot of the manufacturers that we deal with, it's not always the answer that they want. So there's still a lot of on-premise people out there too.
How can RFID be used for tracking work in process items as these items go through lots of different alterations such as cutting, grinding, et cetera? As an example, what happens if you have an item, the RFID tag, and it's cut into two pieces? How do you track the two pieces?
So with a lot of our customers that do similar types of things like that, we might actually have an RFID, well, we turn it into an Intel label, and the Intel label would then split at the end of that process, and then we create another RFID tag. So we still know the source of the initial item, so it still maintains its integrity with lot number, et cetera, but now it's just considered a cut. So now you have two different unique IDs that marry back to the original, original piece.
Okay. Can you talk a little more about IntelliLabel?
Sure. IntelliLabel basically is our database that allows us to create parent-child relationships with a unique ID. So think of it as like a license plate. So you can track a single item and put a license plate on that, and that item can go into a box with several other license plates, and then that box has a license plate on it, and then that box might get put into a case, that case gets put on a pallet. Each one of those relationships that gets established, we track and kind of nest them together so that you always have the full visibility of every single piece in the puzzle there. And then in the background, when the pallet, the outermost container, gets scanned, we know all these subcomponents that were in all these different boxes. So in the background, we actually transact to the ERP system all those different quantities of all the different parts and lots, et cetera.
Okay. On which operating system platform does your solution operate, and does it need an external database?
So our user interface is either Windows Mobile or Android. Our database that we typically prefer is SQL or Oracle. It does sometimes require a separate database, or we will require, a portion of an existing database that you already have. So a lot of times with our ERP customers, they'll have an existing Oracle database, so we'll just take up some space in that same database.
Okay. Have you evaluated or compared Bluetooth solutions with RFID?
No, I have not.
Okay. What would be the range of a reader? What would be the range of a reader would detect a barcode? I guess an RFID tag.
That's variable. So we actually, one of our partners designs the portals and the antennas that we implement, and they have a lot of power settings that they can adjust based on the read zones that we need or require for the application. So it's really something that we study and work with each customer on to ensure that we deliver the proper solution for them. So it's all about fine-tuning the solution once it's installed and making sure that the reads and the areas that we need to read in are accurate.
Okay. Is it possible to mix barcode and RFID applications in the same warehouse?
Yes, it's very possible. So a lot of times we'll do a mixed mode environment. So in some circumstances, when people receive in products and they're putting it away into a warehouse location, we'll still use barcoding for a lot of that, but we might have an embedded RFID in the same label as the barcode. And then from that point on, depending on what the process is and where our readers are located, we can then, you know, use RFID to do that tracking and make sure that we're facilitating, you know, product movements or issues. But when you're talking about like issuing a raw material to a work order, for example, to be able to verify that you're actually picking the right product, sometimes that takes a barcode scan. So we might actually have a, you know, a more targeted barcode scan, and then once it gets into the production area, it might go through a portal that then tells us that this particular product was just moved to this blindside location, for example.
Right. Okay. Brandy, that's all the questions we have. Thank you so much for your presentation today.
Thank you very much, Mark.